You are listening to Lighthearted, the official podcast of the United States Lighthouse Society. My name is Jeremy D'Entremont. Welcome. Today is August 24th, 2025, and this is episode 324 of Lighthearted. With me as co-host is my good friend Jeff Gales, Executive Director of the U.S. Lighthouse Society. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Jeremy. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How's the summer going for you overall and the society?
Well, summer's always amazing in the Pacific Northwest. And the main thing that's happening right now is that we have a big maritime conference in September that a lot of the Lighthouse Society staff and board are going to. Mike Vogel, our former president, and who is the lead on the Buffalo Lighthouse Restoration Project. He also sits and gives people tours and opens it up to the public. He's actually in charge of this whole maritime conference, and it's a great way for us to network with the larger maritime community. Lighthouses are technically maritime related, so we're all looking forward to going to that. And it's in New York. It's in Buffalo, actually. So yeah, that's kind of the thing we're leading up to. But overall, the society is doing great. We actually started with a massive marketing campaign to introduce people all over the country, all over the world, really, to lighthouses and the fun you can have visiting them. And it's really been successful. We've actually reached, within a couple of months, over 1 million people who wouldn't otherwise know about the lighthouse preservation movement. We've managed to touch all those people. Our passport sales are going crazy. People love the passport program and are buying them so they can document their visits. So it's been a great way to expose the general public to not just the U.S. Lighthouse Society, really this whole program of marketing. The society is actually marketing just lighthouses around the country in general. We want this program to benefit all the lighthouses and get people to go visit whatever's closest to them or take trips and go see them. And from there, they can learn more about the society. But the whole point of this campaign is to expose people to lighthouses. And it's been very successful. Yeah. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah. A lot of this, of course, involves influencers on social media who get
on Instagram and Facebook primarily is where we're advertising. And, advertising is expensive, but this advertising, we get really good bang for our buck because, in what other world could we spend, a little bit of money and reach 1 million people? That's insane. And this is what happens. And the whole theory of advertising and working with influencers is that these influencers have their own following. So it would be like me recommending something to you, my friend. And that recommendation is very powerful. Yeah. So the advertising and the marketing campaign is extremely strong, and it's because it's all based on a personal recommendation, and it's getting people to move. It's getting people to go to the lighthouses and buy the passports, and so it's happening.
Yeah. Like I said, I've looked at Instagram, some of those posts by the influencers. They're very good. The little short videos, usually on an individual lighthouse. But the comments are really interesting because there are a lot of people, I think, who've never really given a thought to a lighthouse before, to lighthouses at all, who are saying, wow, that's interesting. I'd like to go to that kind of thing. Yeah. That's really good to see.
Those are the people we want to contact. We're really great about contacting and interfacing with our members and the general lighthouse community as a whole. But, there's tens of millions of people out there that are not part of that community that we need to touch in some way. So it's been a learning experience, and it's been an exciting, we've had exciting results, and I really want to continue this into the future as well. We'll see how that goes.
People should check out the USLHS Instagram account. You don't say Instagram page. I'm never quite sure what to call it, but anyway.
I think an account.
Account, whatever. People should get on Instagram and look for USLHS.
Absolutely.
Because there's a lot of cool stuff.
Also, if you're on Instagram looking up the Lighthouse Society, of course, most people know my dog, Augie, Augustine for short, Augie. Mm-hmm. He has his own Instagram page, and he just surpassed 1,450 followers.
Wow.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive for a little dog.
Well, you blew past our cat, Eddie. I had an Instagram page for him, but I haven't added anything to it probably in 2 or 3 years at
Oh,
least.
okay, yeah. Well, I usually look at it most pretty much every day. I hate to admit I'm on Instagram pretty much every day.
Yeah, well, that's fun. And Augie's very photogenic and a lot of personality, so I'm
Absolutely.
not surprised he has a lot of followers. Before we get to our guest, there's something else I want to mention. A couple other things I want to mention. One is, I'm not sure I've ever mentioned it on the podcast before, at least not much, but the news of the week on the USLHS website, I think, is a really, really important thing. One of the many, like you said, reaching the Lighthouse community for the most part. But the news of the week is compiled by our friend USLHS researcher Ralph Krugler, a historian for the Hillsborough Inlet Lighthouse in Florida, and he does a great job with it. And it's a great way for people to keep up with the latest news in the lighthouse world. So I just wanted to get that in while I was thinking about it.
Ralph has been doing a wonderful job with News of the Week, but that's not all that he's been doing for us. He is now pretty much in charge of our Candace Clifford National Archive resource.
Research catalog.
He's working closely with Craig Anderson, but Ralph basically works pretty much every day on updating that. And he's also now working with Cheryl Roberts and Richard, my brother who does the Keeper's Log, on helping them with documenting the subject index. And he's helping find images for articles that we need because he's so well versed in the catalog. So
Yep.
Ralph's really stepped up and has been doing a lot of great work. And that's all in addition to his real daytime job. He works for the Hillsborough Inlet Lighthouse. I guess, is he a volunteer or is he work
Well,
there?
he's both. He's a volunteer for the group there, but he also works for the Coast Guard doing some caretaking sort of things.
Yeah,
As,
so he
yeah.
definitely keeps himself busy and is really into lighthouse history. So we're lucky to have Ralph, that's for sure.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Oh, shout out to Ralph, who's been on the podcast quite a few times too. So I want to mention we have just launched our third annual U.S. Lighthouse Society Dance Off. All the details are on the front page at uslhs.org. And of course, this year I expect to see you dancing, Jeff, along with maybe Augie.
Yeah, well, maybe not with Augie, but I definitely will be participating this year. And you should tell everybody how it's a little bit different this time than in the past.
Yes, in the past, I'm sure a lot of listeners know the past 2 years, we've asked people to dance to a certain song that was written by my friend Joe Rivers, a song called Meet Me at the Lighthouse, and had a good dancing beat and everything. And we got some great entries from around the country. But this year, we're giving people the option of choosing from 25 different songs that we have posted. The link is on, again, front page at uslhs.org. Just click on events. And people can pick from those 25 songs. There's a lot of different styles, from ballroom to salsa to more classical ballet type things to hip hop. Pretty broad range. So
Disco,
people, what's that?
disco.
There is disco, a couple of disco choices. So I'm looking forward to seeing, what people choose and what they do with it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Deadline is December 15th at midnight, and you and I are going to plan is that we're going to host a New Year's Eve event.
Yeah,
um,
that's what we're planning a New
yeah,
Year's Eve event, special Lighthouse Society New Year's Eve event for sure. And
yeah,
then,
virtual
yeah.
event, and there will be five finalists picked from the entries, the dance entries. But then, in that virtual event, the audience will get to vote for the winners, as we did last year.
Well, and
Everything.
I think that this new way of putting on the contest will give people the opportunity to be a little bit more creative. It has a broader appeal because of the different styles of music.
Yeah, and the emphasis is very much on creativity and spirit. Dancing is obviously a part of this, but great dancing ability certainly isn't required. That will leave you and me out, that's for sure, or at least me. So, moving along, our guest today is someone you've known for many years, Darlene Chisholm. Darlene is a veteran of many USLHS tours, both in the U.S. and abroad. In the course of her travels, she's done a lot of traveling on her own as well, and with her late husband, Tom. Darlene has photographed well over 4,000 lighthouses. So let me ask you, Jeff, what comes to mind when you first think of Darlene Chisholm?
She's a tough cookie. I
Yeah.
say that kindly, but Darlene has been on, like you said, a lot of lighthouse tours, possibly very close to the person who's been on the most Lighthouse Society tours that I know of in history, which is Mary Borkowski. And her and her husband Phil would go on a number of lighthouse tours every year. And
Yeah.
Phil, unfortunately, we lost him a while back. And now Darlene, unfortunately, lost her husband, Tom. But all of us became very close. Darlene went on I met Darlene on the very first international tour that I took. And,
Uh,
and for Darlene, it's not about just international lighthouses either. She loved, her and her husband, Tom, loved to go on international trips and they went on their own trips too. Traveling with the society was just one part of their travel experience. They would go on all different types of other tours. They'd go on their own trips.
yeah.
They loved traveling. Darlene and Tom absolutely adored traveling. They were both retired educators, and so they see value in that. And her goal is to cross all of them off her list. She wants
Yeah.
to have seen all the seen all the lighthouses in the U.S. and she's well on her way to seeing all the lighthouses in the world.
Yeah.
So she's done a lot
Yeah.
of traveling, Darlene, and she's a
Yeah.
wonderful, kind person as well.
Yes, yes. She's a tough cookie and she's a kind person. You're absolutely right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Darlene was a longtime librarian in the public school system in Albion, Michigan, where she still lives. One of the things she did was to establish a fund to support presentations by authors for public school students in grades K through 8. She's told me about that a couple of times, and her aim was really to get kids to read more books, and what a great cause that is. Her husband Tom was president of the Education Association in Albion when Darlene came to Albion. They met at a teachers' meeting, and they were soon attending basketball games together, and they were married in 1969. And I think the visits to lighthouses started not too long after that.
Tom spent many years teaching math and other subjects in the junior high school and high school levels. He also helped start a computer program at the high school he taught at and continued teaching computer science until he retired in 1998. Darlene and Tom traveled extensively around the world until Tom's unfortunate passing in 2023.
When I recorded this conversation with Darlene, she had just returned from the USLHS France tour, which I was also on, and she was about to leave on the Lake Superior tour, which she's on now. So let's listen to my conversation with Darlene Chisholm now. I'm speaking this afternoon with my friend Darlene Chisholm. And it's a pleasure to speak with you, Darlene. We just saw each other in France on the France tour not long ago. That was another epic USLHS tour. So thank you so much for doing this, Darlene. I really appreciate it. So let me ask you, starting out, a pretty basic question. You've probably been asked this like a million times. How did you first get interested in lighthouses?
It just sort of grew. Thomas and I got married in 1969. And on our honeymoon, we passed the boarded up Iroquois Point Lighthouse heading north to the Upper Peninsula. And it looked pretty sad to me. And then we camped in Mackinac City and we went over into the UP and started looking at lighthouses along the way. And one thing led to another and it just sort of grew.
Yeah, it'll do that. I know how that goes. But of course, you just mentioned your husband, Tom. And I did at least a couple of tours with both of you. So, who would you say got interested first? Was it kind of simultaneous? It sounds like it kind of was for the two of you.
It sort of was, and then it became more me than him. But the man was a list man, so if he could list something and start checking things off, that was his way of doing things.
Yeah.
And for the first Christmas, he got me one of Ross Holland's lighthouse books.
Mm-hmm.
So we started doing some tours following these little maps and checking off lighthouses along the way.
Yeah.
Because one trip we went from Virginia Beach all the way to Nantucket, seeing all the lighthouses along the way. And that was the era where we were camping.
What is it about lighthouses? What's made them have such a hold on you? What is the big attraction?
For the life of me, I haven't figured that out.
Yeah.
All I know is they call me. They save people. They help people. They're beautiful. I love looking at the sea and the birds and everything around them. So I don't know. I'm just there.
All of the above. Yeah, I mean that says it. Those are all good reasons. So I understand it's not just one thing. I think that's true for a lot of us. It's a combination. Two-part question. How did you first get involved with the U.S. Lighthouse Society, and when and where was your first tour with the society?
Well, there was an ad in Travel and Leisure magazine,
Hmm.
and Thomas was always poring over travel stuff to see where his next tour would be. And it said, be a charter member of the U.S. Lighthouse Society. So we joined up.
Yeah.
And we went to I think it was the first U.S. Lighthouse Conference on Mackinac Island. And
Mm.
that was a long time ago. I think our first tour with the U.S. Lighthouse Society was Maine, but
Hmm.
I have not been able to prove that.
Yeah.
So
Well, it seems.
somewhere around here, I have something that tells me that.
Yeah.
We didn't do a whole lot of U.S. Lighthouse Society tours because we had our vehicle and our camper and we just sort of traveled. We did the
Hmm.
one to Maine. I found out where we've done one to Massachusetts, and we did one out in San Francisco.
Hmm. Well, that makes sense because I know in the early days, when after Wayne Wheeler started the society 40 years ago, the early tours were often Maine or Cape Cod. I believe those were done several times. Of course, Russia was the first international tour. You didn't go on that Russia tour, did you? Or did you?
I didn't go on that tour. The first international tour I went was Norway.
And that would have been close to 40 years ago.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, I'll bet. I'll bet.
But I got
So,
to tell you, I
yeah.
can't remember which lighthouse it was, but I got locked inside a lighthouse. We'd gone on the boat to an island, and we were inside the lighthouse, and the keeper was talking, or somebody was talking, and they were going on and on and on, and I knew that we were going to be heading out soon, and I needed to use the bathroom. So I slipped into the bathroom real quick, but when I came out, everybody was gone, and the place was totally locked up. I couldn't get out of the lighthouse.
Uh, that's
So
like
I'm
yeah,
going
I've
over
had
to the
nightmares
window
like that.
and I'm
Yeah.
yelling and waving my arms and everything. And somebody looked back and said, "Hey, there's still somebody in the lighthouse." Tom would have noticed when we got back to the boat and I wasn't there, but
Yeah.
he tended to wander off with his camera.
Hmm. I think I've had nightmares like that, being locked in lighthouses. What is I know you told me fairly recently. I think I have a pretty good idea. But what is your count of lighthouses that you photographed?
Okay, now here's the problem.
Yeah.
Thomas's last count was 4,500 lights. Now I'm
Right.
supposed to figure out how many more we've seen,
Yeah.
but I can't count them twice. And so trying to figure out, as you look at the list of all the lighthouses, which ones you've seen before and which ones you haven't, is not the easiest trick in the world when you've seen over 4,000 lighthouses.
Yeah.
So that's a job I've got to figure out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I know it's over 4,500.
Yeah. Of course, it's partly when you start adding them up like that, it's partly what you consider the definition of a lighthouse. I know that can vary a little bit, but
Right. Usually what I'm looking at is Lighthouse Depot, not Lighthouse Depot, Lighthouse Directory.
yeah.
I use, if he's got it on there as a lighthouse, then we count it as a lighthouse. A lot of things, are just beacons.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many beacons we've seen. We've seen a ton of beacons, but it's got to be a real light. I mean, to my way of thinking. Now, Wayne and I had disagreements about what was a real light.
Yeah. Wayne has a pretty narrow definition.
Very narrow definition. We've argued more than once, especially on some of my Great Lakes lighthouses where we have the rear range and the front range. If they're both big size lighthouses, I count them as two. If they're one of them's a little or whatever, it gets us one pair. But like I said, we have just had some discussions on that.
Yeah. I'm sure. I have a little bit too with Wayne. But so I know it's hard to have come up with an exact number, but assuming that your number of easily more than 4,000 is correct, I'm sure it is. I doubt that there's anybody in the world who's close to that. I think our late mutual friend Ron Bandock was up in that general neighborhood,
Oh,
but not as
he and Tom were running neck and neck, and we did some
yeah.
tours together too. We went to Antarctica together, so
Yeah.
uh, we had fun.
Yeah. Ron was pretty low key. He didn't. You had to pry it out of him that he had been to visited so many lighthouses. But yeah. I can't imagine there's anybody who's seen more, and a lot of it is a majority of it is because of all the international tours you've done, right? The society's tours,
Oh, more than society's tours,
right?
plus all the U.S. lighthouses. I mean, we've seen all but I think two
Yeah,
official U.S. lighthouses.
yeah. But that's only 800 something, so that's just
Well,
maybe
yeah,
20% or something of all you've seen. But
but
yeah,
Alex Trevette, his online list of lights, we check them off from there and
yeah,
find things there too. And I send him pictures. If I can't figure out what something is, I send it to Alex.
yeah. Not Alex Trebek. He was the host of Jeopardy. I think you said Alex Trebek.
No, who am I
Alex, I'm trying
thinking?
to think of his name. I know who you mean. How many continents have you visited?
All seven.
And how many countries? You know how many countries you visited?
Over 78 countries.
Okay. Probably just
And
about every country that has lighthouses you've been to, I would
well,
guess.
I've missed a few.
Asian, have you been to some Asian countries?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
but not all of them.
yes. And we
That's
visited
78
over
countries.
50 national parks.
50 national parks?
Hmm.
Uh-huh. I've only been in 7 countries. So I got a ways to go to catch up to you. Wow. That's amazing. So 50 national parks, is that another kind of hobby, has it been, to visit national parks?
Well, he started out trying to visit all the national parks. And then there was that year when they added a whole bunch of national parks up in Alaska, and there's totally impossible to get to kind of thing. And so we just kept visiting national parks if we were in the area, but we didn't, you know, some of those you can't get to on your own very well.
Yeah. So let me ask you, we've been on a couple of the same tours, I think at least 3 that I can think of off the top of my head. And I don't have to tell you that it's not just lighthouses. Obviously, lighthouses are the focus of these tours, and people do the tours because lighthouses mean a lot to them. But you experience a lot of other things on the tours as well.
Mhm.
So, other than the lighthouses, what are some of the things you enjoy most about these tours?
The birds, the
Hmm.
animals, the dolphins, the pelicans, the whatever's out there,
Yeah.
eagles, birds, just really call. But the sea life too. And then the scenery, the mountains, the how do you get to places? I
Yeah.
mean, some places, the docks, you better need a horse to get up to where the town is or some other way to get there. I mean, they're just incredible.
And there's also the culture of these different places, learning
Oh,
about that
yes,
as well. Yeah,
yes.
for all
And people.
people. Yeah. What would you say about the people you've met on your travels in these places? Anything that comes
Oh,
to
they're
mind?
awesome.
Yeah,
Some of them they want to show you their lighthouses and stuff. And some of them, I've got friends all over the world that I've met on lighthouse tours
I'll bet you do.
that I'm still meeting up with.
Yeah.
And when I'm going places, well, Darlene, are you going on that tour? Let me see if we can figure out how we can meet up again.
Hmm.
So I've
Yeah.
had a lot of fun with people.
Yeah. Yeah. So my next question, you can give one example or you can give many, but the question is, what are some of your most memorable experiences visiting lighthouses? And that could be on a society tour or otherwise.
Well, I've done some really strange things, and you find if you ask people, you'll end up different places.
Yeah.
Because on a cruise one time, getting off, I really wanted to get to this lighthouse. And so this guy at the end, I said, "Oh, is there any way I can get to that lighthouse? Will somebody take me out? Do you know of anybody?" And finally, the guy looked at me and he says, "Well, I think my dad will take you out." So he called his dad, and lo and behold, his dad picked us up, and we had an incredible tour. But we had some problems. And right off, I can't remember where it was, but his dad had a really old vehicle. And we had strange things happen, like he tied on the transmission, and he also went out stopped and got another person to go out there, because he says you don't go out there by yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You don't. And we made it out there and climbed the light and had a good time. But on the way back, we only made it like 30 minutes before the boat left.
Yeah.
So that was exciting. That was really exciting. And you find if you're in places, if you just ask the question, how do I get there? Do you know who will take us? All that different kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And and you read stuff like in the Falklands, I read that to get to the lighthouse, you go to the museum and can ask and somebody will take you out. Well, I went to the museum and I started asking questions, and a lady popped up and said, my husband will take you out there.
Mm.
And he did. And it was awesome to be able to climb that major lighthouse in the Falkland Islands.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the way back, he said, well, would you like to visit, I don't know, a couple pier lights and whatever? And I said, sure. But I forgot to ask, is there a road? There wasn't. We went cross country. It was quite a trip. But it was fun. It was fun. But you never know what you're going to run into. And on the U.S. Lighthouse Society, I love Alaska. And that trip to being able to fly over those lighthouses was truly, truly awesome. And Scotland, Muggle Flugga. I love Muggle Flugga.
Yeah, it's fun to say too.
And I don't know, you can dream and read and put together, and lo and behold, it can happen.
Yeah, yeah. Those are the things you remember, both the helpfulness of people and kind of the adventure of seeing these places that you wouldn't ordinarily see.
And I love to go to zoos when we're on our tours, because the animals are so different. Australia, the emus, and then the cassowary. I mean, I never knew what a cassowary was, but man, he's a big bird. He's bigger than the emu.
Yeah, they got some unusual animals in Australia for sure. But how about visiting offshore lighthouses that are hard to get on? I know you, of course, we went to Cordovan just recently on the France tour, and I know you've been to some others, some of these offshore, as they call them over in Europe, rock lighthouses, wave-swept lighthouses. Anything that stands out as far as that goes? Someplace that was kind of difficult to get to?
Elverge.
Elverge, yeah.
In Brittany, France.
Yeah.
It's the tallest stone tower.
Yeah.
Lighthouse. 402 steps to the top.
Yeah, I just did it.
Got to go out when the tide is up.
Right.
And then when you get inside, did you get to climb?
I did, yeah.
Oh, it's so beautiful with all
absolutely
the
gorgeous
tiles, and all the way to the top. And it was just awesome.
Yeah.
And then when I was there, I climbed down to get the good picture, and I walked back, way back so I could get the whole thing in the picture. And I sensed somebody or something was staring at me. And I looked around, and there were a bunch of sheep back there staring me down.
Huh.
But
yeah, I didn't see any
really
sheep there. Yeah. Oh, I loved it too. I actually think, and it's hard to make absolute statements about lighthouses because somebody will prove you wrong a lot of times. But I think it's not only the tallest stone lighthouse, I think it's the tallest sort of traditional style lighthouse in the world. Yeah. To about 250 feet high. And as you said, a little more than 400 steps. So it's pretty memorable. It took me, I did a couple of days in Brittany after our group tour. So that's how I got to that. And it took me, I'd say, at least a couple of weeks before my legs kind of felt almost normal after that trip, because we climbed so many tall lighthouses, and I did some more on my own in Brittany. So anyway, but it was certainly worth it. Let me back up a little bit. You were talking about visiting so many countries. What's your favorite country that you've visited?
Probably Scotland.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Chisholm is a Scottish clan.
Sure.
So be adding in the Chisholm stuff along with the lighthouses and everything else, it's pretty memorable to me.
Yeah. I love Scotland too, what I've seen of it. Of course, some people say, well, that's the UK is the country, but historically, Scotland's its own thing. So I think we would consider it a country. But yeah, it's wonderful. I wish I could see more. I've only seen the southeastern part, like near Edinburgh. But that's a great city. I love Edinburgh.
Oh, and then, the islands out there.
Up the north, the Orkneys and the
Mm-hmm.
Shetlands. So you've been
Yep.
to those. Yeah.
Shetlands and all the different stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow.
It's
Yeah.
pretty.
I understand the attraction. Absolutely. Okay. Another question that you're probably tired of people asking you this. I know I'm a little tired of people asking me this question. What's your favorite lighthouse?
In the world,
Yeah.
probably Alberge.
Okay. Okay. Good.
In the United States, this is going to sound weird. Chris Point. Chris Point is probably most people know about Whitefish Point.
We're talking in Michigan, both of
We're
them.
talking Michigan.
Yeah.
And if you want to visit Chris Point, don't put your GPS on until you're on Road 500 because it'll get you lost in those logging roads out there.
Uh-huh.
But it's the whole history of the thing. A friend took me out there, took us out there a long time ago. And at that point, you had to know where you were going to be able to even find it.
Right.
And they've worked on restoring it, and it's just an awesome. It's not a great big lighthouse, but it's an awesome lighthouse.
I have not been there. I've heard
Yeah.
other people saying they really like it. That's a real interesting choice. I like it. Again, it's a little bit off the beaten path.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you live in the most lighthouse-rich state in the country.
Yes.
Yeah. I ask people that all the time. I'm sure you do too. What state has the most lighthouses? And if they're not like real lighthouse buffs, they often guess Maine or California.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Michigan #1. And I always tell people, and Maine is #3, and I ask them to guess the second one, and people almost never can get that.
New York.
Yes, very good. Well, I knew you would get it, but the average person can't guess that.
It's about the Great Lakes.
It is. Yeah, right, exactly, yeah.
I had some friends in Vermont lived on Lake Champlain, and they thought Lake Champlain should be a Great Lakes.
Everyone's been talking of that.
So when they came to visit, we went up north. And I took them over to Lake Superior, and they're looking out there going, oh my gosh, you can't see the other side.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true in parts of Lake Champlain, but it doesn't compare in size to the Great Lakes.
Not at all.
Yeah,
not at all.
It's a major lake, but the Great Lakes are amazing. They really are. I was out there a couple of years ago and got to Split Rock and some other places, for the first time, and saw people surfing or near Duluth on Lake Superior, which amazed me. I never thought about people surfing on the Great Lakes, but they do. You get big waves. So let me get back to the U.S. Lighthouse Society tours, okay? Aside from the tours, which is obviously it's a big part of what the society does. It's one of the offerings that people love, but it also raises money. Of course, as you know, the tours raise money for the preservation grants that the society gives out, among other things. So, aside from the tours, what do you like most about the U.S. Lighthouse Society?
Being able to keep the history alive of the lighthouses and the different people. I've met so many neat people and been involved that are concerned about the lights and taking care of them and everything. So it's a whole big bundle. And there's different things. I mean, the passport program. Yeah, I collect my stamps, but I started so long ago, there's no way I'm going back to pick up everything. And it's great. We do a lot of different things.
And kind of part two to that, why are lighthouses? I think I know what your answer is going to be, but are lighthouses still important? Why do we need to save lighthouses at this point?
Oh, lighthouses are very important. I mean, hey, not everybody has GPS, and it doesn't always work right. And people need to people get lost. They need a way to get back. And you got the foghorn. Your cell phone and stuff may not give you a signal that you're near the reefs. You need to be protected. They protect people.
Yeah.
And
what about other than navigational value? Do you think lighthouses have value beyond that?
Their photographic value.
Yeah.
And people's towns and stuff that associate with that particular light. It's their symbol. It's their history. It's theirs.
Oh yeah, yeah. They're often sort of like focal points for towns. And
Mhm.
let me ask you, if somebody's thinking about doing a U.S. Lighthouse Society tour, maybe browsing the tour offerings on the website. There's always several on there that are coming up. I believe next year's tours have been announced. If somebody's thinking about that but kind of unsure, not doesn't want to make the commitment, what would you tell them? What would you say to convince them to go ahead and do
Go for it.
it? Yeah.
What on that list of that particular tour are you really interested in? Is there
Hmm.
something there that can lead to something else? You know, when we look at tours, we often looked at, well, what else is around there that we would like to see? And you can figure out different things. If it's overseas, like in Europe or Asia or whatever, there are tour companies. There's a group called Tours by Locals. You can figure out if if there are tours, lighthouses around that area that aren't on the tour that you'd like to see, you can put them together. Or if there's other things, like on one tour, there was Thomas wanted to see this huge Buddha, and it was way down in a very strange place compared to the rest of the tour, which was not a U.S. Lighthouse Society tour, by the way. It was a Holland America cruise. But
Yeah.
anyhow, Tours by Locals got us down
Hmm.
to that huge Buddha, which was totally awesome. So they know things, and to get you to places that you want to see.
Yeah.
The other thing is Viator. You can see different things.
Hmm.
So, don't just look at the U.S. Lighthouse Society, look beyond.
Yeah. Or you can kind of combine them. Like
Right.
on the France tour, I stayed a few days and did a couple of days in Brittany and a couple of days in Paris, where I saw all the things you're supposed to see in Paris. I actually got a guided tour with a really good tour guide at the Louvre and another one at the Eiffel Tower. And I got a lot out of those, having a guided tour at those places. So, and
Did you go early at the Eiffel Tower? Early in the morning, getting the first one up on the Eiffel
no,
Tower is really cool.
I'm sure it is, but I got the general admission was sold out like
Oh.
I think it was more than a month ahead when I tried to do it. So I did the guided tour, and that there was only one time slot available for that. It was like kind of late in the afternoon, so there were a lot of people there, and I saw that it was pretty hot, as you remember, on that France trip. And
It was very hot over
yeah,
there.
after I got back, I saw that it was over 100 in Paris, and
Mhm.
they had to close the Eiffel Tower for at least a day. So kind of unusual. You've kind of covered this to a large degree, but let me ask you, any other advice for people if they want to see lighthouses and they just don't know how to go about it? And you've given some ideas already, but anything else you want to add about that?
Well, if you become part of some of the organizations in the Great Lakes, there's GLICA, Great Lakes Lighthouse Keepers Association, and
Yeah.
they have conferences out on the lakes that do various different things to get to the lights. So
Hmm.
that's a lot of fun. Also, they got the Chesapeake chapter of the U.S. Lighthouse Society. So there's more than just the U.S. Lighthouse Society out there. There's other groups that you can go and help and tour. Let me add a couple things here that you aren't, because when we were out in California, we went to Point Pinos Lighthouse,
Yeah.
and there was a guide there was acting like the lighthouse keeper of Emily Fish. Now,
Hmm.
believe it or not, Emily Fish was born in Albion, Michigan, my
Okay.
hometown here. So
Hmm.
we had a real good conversation and a lot of fun. So you can find those kinds of things
Yeah.
could go along the way.
The question I haven't asked yet is what of all the more than 4,000, 4,500 lighthouses you've photographed, what was the biggest challenge?
East Quoddy.
He's Quaddy, yeah.
East Quoddy, however you pronounce it.
Yeah, or Head Harbor,
Pronunciation
right?
has never been my strong
Yeah.
suit.
AKA Head Harbor on Campobello Island.
It's the most physically challenged lighthouse to get there
Yeah.
because number one, you got to go out when the tide is out,
Yep.
and then you got to climb down a ladder, and then you got to walk across this with rocks with
Yep.
seaweed on them that's slack and slippery, and then you go up another ladder and down another ladder, and
Yep.
here you can get a good view to take a picture. That's where we stopped. But to really get to the lighthouse, then you've got to cross more seaweed and you got to go up this walkway that's been underwater, that's wet and slippery and everything else.
Yep.
But we didn't go that far. We got our pictures and hurried out of there. So, you got to go across and everything. So that's the really most challenging one.
Yeah. I just want to interject that I've only got all the way out to Head Harbor, aka East Quaddy, once. I've been there a number of times to photograph it, but once I was helping a woman in Australia see some lighthouses, and we walked all the way out to it. And they had high school students as docents out of the lighthouse, which I thought was fantastic. So, yeah, it's challenging for sure, and you got to be careful. You got to time the tide right. You're in big trouble in the Bay of Fundy there with the extreme tides there. So anyway, that's a good. I understand how difficult that one is.
The other thing I want to bring up, way back in the beginning, there was Gail Haynes had a lighthouse safari.
Yep.
And so we did the Chesapeake, one of the Chesapeake tours with her, and I sat down afterwards and talked with her, and she said, "Oh, I'd like to meet some real lighthouse people and go to Puerto Rico." Well, we're interested in Puerto Rico. And so she put together a tour of Puerto Rico. And then when we found out the Shanklins were on it, now maybe you aren't familiar with the Shanklins, the
I know.
Lighthouse.
Yeah, I know the Shanklins, or I knew Bob and Sandra. I've lost touch with. Maybe you can help me
Sandra's
there.
still alive.
Yeah.
So, she and I talk periodically.
Mhm.
So we became special. We knew if we went to Puerto Rico on that tour, we would see all the lighthouses of Puerto Rico,
Yeah.
because at that point they'd seen all the lighthouses in the United States and had written a couple books. Well, then, so we did that, and then we became great friends, and we started to travel together to all these different places. In fact, as Bob put together these awesome CDs with photographs of the lights and everything, and
Yeah.
I was doing the editing of them. And he
Okay.
called me the nitpicker because I didn't let him put anything that was controversial. I researched things out. If anybody said different than what he said, that was out. We
Mhm.
didn't need controversy in these CDs. But anyhow,
Sure. Yeah.
we had a lot of fun with those kinds of things and visiting. So along the way, I've met some really, really neat people that involved with the lighthouses
Yeah.
and all their different things.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, the Shanklins.
And then you join different societies.
Yeah.
I mean, we did the Outer Banks, we did the Florida, we did the lighthouses off Florida, the island ones. Come on,
The reef.
the reef lights.
Yeah.
And we were involved with the Reef Light Society and
Mhm.
visited all those lighthouses out there. I never
Yeah.
got on one, but anyhow, got to see them.
Yeah.
And you just do different things that you get different things. I mean, we went on a Florida trip, and somehow way we got a chance to climb the Hillsborough Lighthouse. So, it's just incredible. You can get involved, and one thing led to another thing that led to another thing. It's awesome to get involved.
Yeah. Yeah. And as you said before, people, not just people in other countries, obviously, but people in this country, they're going to be helpful. You approach them in a friendly, respectful way, and they're gonna do anything they can to help you see these places, get to these places. And people love, as you said, also people love to show off their lighthouse and to tell you about it. So.
And with the U.S. Lighthouse Society tour, we often traveled with the Burkowskis, Mary
Yeah.
and Phil Burkowski.
Yeah.
They live in Ann Arbor, so we can, plane trips. So we would do a pre-trip or a post-trip. So we'd take the U.S. Lighthouse Society and figure out where else we could go, and see different things one way or another. So that added a number of lighthouses to our tour.
Mary was on the France tour with us
Mhm.
also. It's great seeing you and her and some other. We had a small group. We had a nice small group, but mostly familiar people. I think
But they
to
got
both
some
of us.
tall lighthouses.
They sure do. And we
300
climbed.
steps.
Yeah, we climbed a bunch of them close together too, like in a few days.
Right.
Yeah, one
Right.
after another. And you climbed just about all of them, right?
I climbed all but one.
Yeah.
And it was a short one. It was only 60 steps, but it had a rope rail.
Right.
I don't feel comfortable with those rope rails. They move too much. I mean, I want a rail to hold still.
Yeah.
And then the steps were high,
Yeah.
higher than most of them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was narrow. So I started up and then I said, nope, don't need to do this one.
I think we did, according to, of course, Tom, your husband, used to count the stairs on the trips. That was a thing
That
that
was
he seemed
his
to enjoy
thing.
doing. Yeah. Um,
I did it. I tried it the first trip after he died in Spain. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. So I asked Leanne. So
yeah.
Leanne is doing the count now.
Yeah.
I just
And
sort of fell apart.
I think it was just under 3,000 steps on the France tour. And most of those, like I said, were pretty close together towards the end of the tour, a whole bunch of them. And then I did Brittany and did Ile Vierge and a couple others. So I climbed well over 3,000 steps on that. And when people hear 3,000 steps, they think, well, that doesn't sound like much. It's only, what, like a mile on land or whatever. But when you're climbing up steep stairs in a lighthouse, it's a lot of steps.
And the view from the top, oh, wow, is it worth it?
Yes,
Ah,
absolutely. That's one of the great things about this, too. And there's a lot of, the stairways themselves. Well, you said about how beautiful Ile Vierge is, the stairway, but in France has a number of gorgeous spiral stairways. But all over the world, you'll find a lot of those, and the views and the lenses in many cases to see
Oh,
them.
the lenses are awesome.
Yeah,
They are truly awesome.
they are. They're
And they're all different sizes.
yeah,
The
yeah.
little bitty ones and the big, big, big ones. The first order, the beyond first order
Hyperradial. Yeah,
hyper yeah.
yeah. They're works of beautiful functional art, I like to say. So I have just one more question for you, okay, Darlene? We could keep talking for sure, and I hope we can do it again sometime. But one more question for you for now for bonus points, okay? That question is, what has been your favorite tour you've done with the U.S. Lighthouse Society?
Well, there's two that really stand out in my mind, and
Mm-hmm.
that was the last Scotland one because it took in Mugga Flugga, which I've been trying for years to figure out how to get to,
Yeah.
and then Sanda that Tom really wanted to get to, and there was another one in there between. I can't remember the name of it, and it was awesome. The
Yeah.
whole we had a great time, and
Yeah.
the other was the last Alaska tour that went out to some of those lighthouses way in the north with these little bitty planes to fly over and see. And the weather we had was perfect. The
Uh-huh.
whole tour. Chris had built in an extra day for rain or storms or whatever, and it never happened. It was beautiful the whole
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
it was so awesome. It
Yeah.
was just so awesome. And you got the mountains, and it was in May, so the snow was still on the mountains, and the wildlife around, you saw whales. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
incredible. Any way I
It-
look at it.
those are great choices, but I'm sure I know you've enjoyed a lot of other ones immensely as well. Darlene, I know I said that was the last question, but I lied. So let me ask you, I've heard you do some sort of presentations about lighthouses. Is that right?
Well, I've done some locally, I've done lighthouse presentations, slideshows.
Mm-hmm.
But then I also did an official one back in 2001. I did a slide presentation on the World Lighthouse Tourism in Wilmington, North Carolina, at the
Mm-hmm.
6th Maritime Heritage Conference. And that was pretty cool being part of that.
Yeah.
And then at home, once we retired, I started doing farmers market because I had a big garden. And then I made note cards. So we called it Chisholm Lighthouse Presentations, Products and Produce. So I had, my note cards, my lighthouse stuff. Plus, at the beginning, I had a whole lot of pies and baked goods and stuff. But then they started saying I had to have, the official thing from the health department, which I didn't have. So we skipped that part of it. But every time with my lighthouse, I always had information about the U.S. Lighthouse Society on my table and the other different groups, GLICA and everything. So every day, every time I wanted a good lighthouse conference with somebody and to spread the word. And
Yeah.
that's my way of getting people involved in lighthouses.
That's great. So you're an ambassador for lighthouses.
Yeah, everybody knows I'm lighthouses around here.
Yeah, yeah. You preach lighthouses, which is great, as we all do with the society. Darlene, again, this is great. It's fun talking with you. You know, I always think of the Long Island tour we did just a couple of years ago, where I had one evening we had dinner in an Italian restaurant, and I sat with you and Tom. We had a really nice chat that evening. Got to know you a little bit more, and I've gotten to know you a little bit more here. We've known each other, somewhat for a long time, but it's nice, learning more about you. And it's amazing what you've done. But I think the most important part of what you've done is just that you've had fun doing it and conveyed that to other people, and hopefully that rubs off, and a lot of them will decide to get involved in this stuff too after listening to you. So, Darlene, thank you so much. I really appreciate this.
Well, I've enjoyed it. Thank you, Jeremy.
You know, I've met a lot of memorable people during the 40 years I've been involved with lighthouses, and Darlene is certainly one of the most memorable. It wasn't easy climbing all those tall lighthouses in France that we did on the tour in June, but I did them all, and Darlene did all except one, as she explained in the interview. But seeing her do it was absolutely an inspiration.
Yeah, Darlene is inspiring, and her joy of lighthouses is really infectious. Her passion for learning about them and seeing them and documenting them. What Darlene does is definitely infectious. I think that's the best word to describe her passion for the subject.
Yes. Also, I want to give a shout out to Leanne Nitschke. As you know, Jeff, she's done many of the USLHS tours, and she was on the France tour with Darlene and me and a number of other people that you know, Jeff. And she strongly urged me to do the interview with Darlene. I remember near the end of the trip, we were walking along at one of the lighthouses, and she said, "Jeremy, you've got to interview Darlene." And that's something I had thought about for quite a while, and I believe I had talked to Darlene about it before. She was a little shy about it, but it was really Leanne's prompting that made me, really go after this. So I just want to say thank you, Leanne, if you're listening.
Yeah, Darlene's a self-taught lighthouse expert, and she just happens to be a member of the society. So we would definitely want to talk to Darlene.
Yeah. Also, by the way, slightly different subject, but related. I've been working on an index for this podcast. We will post it online when it's finished. And, as I'm working on it, it's pretty time consuming. If you count the special editions and the Lighthearted Light episodes I've been posting recently, there have been almost 400 episodes at this point. What I'm doing is I'm putting the date, the episode number, a little bit about the subjects and the guests for every one of those. And I think that'll be useful to researchers if they're looking for a particular subject. So.
Oh, absolutely. And it's fun for people just wanting to learn a little bit more about the subject in a different way other than reading. I mean, the podcasts are fantastic. I mean, I listen to them in my car. Yeah. When I'm going on a trip. It's perfect. So and you've done a fantastic job in with the diversity of the subject matter and the quality of the podcast. You've done amazing work, and you've been so prolific. I mean, think about it: 400 episodes, and how much time was that?
It's 6 years, a little over. I mean,
6 years. Crazy. That's a lot. If you think about it, that's a lot of podcasts.
It is, but it just dawned on me when I was doing this index. Holy cow!
Exactly. So it's an amazing. It in and of itself is becoming a wonderful archive of information.
Yeah. Well, thank you. So before we sign off, just another follow-up on the interview with Darlene. Let me ask you, this is for bonus points, okay, Jeff? What to you is so special about U.S. Lighthouse Society tours?
I don't think the tours in and of themselves are special. I mean, they're fun, and you get to travel with people who have share similar interests. So there's a lot of bonding. But what I hope that the tours do, even if you can't go on a Lighthouse Society tour, is that they encourage people to go visit lighthouses. There's only one way to really feel what we're all feeling, and that's actually to go and experience visiting a light station, walking the grounds, climbing it if you can, if it's a tower you can climb, experiencing the environment. It's all about first visiting the lighthouses and then being inspired to want to help preserve them. So the lighthouse tours, I think, talk about that, but you don't have to go on a society tour in order to participate in the fun. And that's, I think, what I'd like to point out. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. Well said. I concur totally.
Yeah.
So we'll be back with a Lighthouser Light episode next week and a brand new episode in 2 weeks. So thank you, Jeff. Thank you for co-hosting. I appreciate it.
Anytime, Jeremy.
Okay. Well, we'll have to do it again soon. So with that, to all our regular listeners and our new ones, thanks so much for listening, and
keep a good light.